Hey everybody, it's Kevin here from Stamp Anything, and we're going to color Archie. For his skin, we're using E13, E11, E00, E000, and R20. So I am going to start with my E13 around his hairline, and that is just going to be where his where his forehead is a little bit more naturally shadowed. I'm also going to put some into the bottom right of his ear, and on the right on the other side. So I'm keeping it to the inside, so his shadow is going to be more on his right hand side. And I'm going to add a little bit of depth under his eyebrows and into his nose as well. And then I'm going in with this color on his hand that he has just at his side. And a little bit where you can just see a peek of his hand on his right hand side. Next up, we're going to go over with our E11. So this is where we're going to go over our color that we've already done, and then we start to extend out. And if you've seen any of my videos before or how I teach, I usually do kind of color off on an angle like this so you can see where I'm placing the color, but it is better if you can kind of keep your marker at more of a 90-degree angle. So next up, after I drop this cap, we're using the E00 to continue blending in and creating this color in his face, which you might have noticed if you've been watching our videos before. We usually start with E04 and then go to E11 and then E21. So this is a new kind of skin tone that I thought I would try out for Archie and the gang. And of course, Archie is from our stamps set for November, which is the gang's all here. And we just thought it was super cute to do something kind of nostalgic. And what's more nostalgic, or what could be more nostalgic than Archie comics? They're so cute. I remember getting Archie comics actually when I was at the cottage, and it was always so fun to read them. So of course, we're just created a line around his eye so we know where his eye was. So I just went around and circled that. And then I'm going in with E93. So I'm going in with the E93 in through his cheeks a little bit right here. And I'm sweeping that up to the side, up to where his hair is, just at the side of his face. And I'm putting a little bit into his nose and his ear just to give him a little rosy glow. So I'm going to go back in now with that E000. So this is going to help blend everything else out and blend everything together. And I just want everything to become cohesive now. So this is a lighter color. This is our lightest color, so you do want to be careful. The more you use it, the more you can risk lightening your colors up too much. So you might need to go back in. Once you've kind of blended, you may need to touch up some areas or add a little bit more depth or darkness back in if you've seen something that has gone too light. So you can see here, I'm just kind of blending everything just to make sure everything comes out nice and smooth. I don't want any harsh lines in his face. I'm going to go back in with my E00. Again, here I'm just kind of deepening some stuff up a little bit, just blending it a little bit more, just making sure I have the colors exactly where I need them. And that's one thing that you should do is when you're coloring, make sure you just kind of take a look at what you're doing and seeing if it all is coming out perfect for you. So here we're doing the mouth, and it is just simply R59. And then for his freckles, I'm using E15, so just kind of dot them right over where his freckles are, just to give them a little bit more depth and just a little bit of more warm, natural color in there. So super easy. Next up is going to be his hair, and his hair is made with a YR27, YR24, YR23, YR21, Y21, and E50. So of course we're starting with our deepest color, which is our YR27 first. You can see here, I'm keeping that shadow a little bit off to the right there in his sides. So it's closer to his face on the left and further away from his face on the right. Then I'm kind of putting in where his part is and where that darker color is right at his part or at the root area there. And then I'm just kind of going into those little valleys of his hair and up from the sides a little bit from where those points are. And then I'm going to, of course, come down a little bit from the top as well, just so I've got some area to work with and to blend in later. So our next color is our YR24, and then that is where I'm going to start to blend up and out from the bottom, and then in from the areas where I've already colored, and everything's just kind of extending now. So you can see I'm just kind of flicking up from some of that spot, and then again here at the part line I'm just kind of extending out a little bit further. Our next color is our YR23. Again, we're just starting to add in some of that now highlight tone where it does go a little bit lighter. So this is where his hair is going to pick up that shine a little bit. And of course, in here, we're not going over all the hair or all the white area yet because we're leaving some room for our next color, which is going to be our YR21. So I'm trying to give him a very blended, I'm going to call it like it's kind of a cinnamony brown or cinnamony red. Like, it's not too dark, maybe not cinnamon. It's kind of that, I don't want to say orange, but I don't know. I think you know what I mean. So we're going in with my Y21s. It's going to kind of blend everything, add up that little highlight. And yeah, I don't know what I should call this color. Maybe you can let me know in the comments. What color should this be called exactly? Let's get your input on it. So finally, I'm going to take my E50 here. If I ever bring it to you on the screen. There we go. Nope. We're going a little bit with that YR24 still. Okay, so here I'm just adding some of the depth back in where I might have blended it out. It's always good to go in with your darker marker again, just to add in some of that little detail that may have been lost from some of the blending and when you've added in those lighter colors. All right, is this the point? Is this where I do it? Nope. Adding in some more detail. So if that was the YR27, this is probably the YR24 that was going in there now. Nope. Still add in some more detail color. See, I can be kind of picky sometimes. I don't know if you've noticed that. But again, I just wanted the image to look good in the end. And I just really wanted to do a great job coloring for you guys. So I thought, hey, let's just do it. Okay, here's the E50 that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so this I just use as a different kind of highlight tone instead of going in with my colorless blender or like an E00 or something, or E000. I thought, let's use E50 and just add that little bit in there. Next up are his eyebrows, which are E29 and E47. So super easy to color. It's a small space. I just kind of flicked in some of that color there, that E29, and then went in with my E47 after, just to make sure everything was filled in and blended. Next up is going to be his collar and his shirt. So those colors are going to be B95, B93, and B91. So I am starting with my B95 first, and I am again putting in the shadowed areas. And again, my shadowed areas are off to the right hand side. So that's where I want to put my depth and everything in there first. So I'm putting it down into his like shirt and then up his sleeve as well. So that's where it's going to go in next once I kind of do this little shirt area. So I'm going to continue to blend in at that collar area with my B21 and just get everything a nice blend. And again, we have to work very gently and with precision as we're working in a small area. So in the sleeves of his shirt, we're starting again with that B95. And I'm just putting it into the darker areas. I am trying to leave a little bit of space between the B95 that I put in and the black line, just so I can fit a little color in there as well. From the B95, I go to the B93 and I add that color in. And then, of course, the B91 to give the final blend in that lightest area of the shirt. I think this is the first character I've ever colored that was wearing a sweater vest. It's kind of cute. And of course, our chibis are evolving in new ways and they're having different looks, and I think they're super cute. So next was the sweater vest and the letter R. So for those colors, we're using B99 and B97, and then the letter R is Y27 and YR24. So I'm going to start with my darkest color, and I'm going right in at the bottom there. Oh, shoot, and actually I should say that's not those colors, that's the shirt color, so B95, 93, and 91. So I forgot that was the bottom part of his shirt, so I apologize there. So now once we have this color, then we'll move on to the vest, like I thought we were going to. So now it's time for that B99 to go in there. And again, we're going to be putting it in our darkest areas that we want. And you can see here, if you look closely, I am not going right up to that black line. I'm going to leave a little bit of space in there. It just gives a little bit room for a little extra depth and texture later. And of course, I'm kind of going around that R and making it a little bit deeper on that right-hand side. Again, thinking about where I want my shadow. And then my B97 is going to go in on that opposite side, on the left-hand side. And I'm going to bring it over and around the R and back over towards that B99. And you can see I haven't quite filled in that gap on the right-hand side yet. So I'm going to go in with my B91 and I'm going to add some light blending into that sweater vest. I think that's what you would call it. I'm calling it a sweater vest. I don't know. Maybe it's just a vest. I don't know. Well, wouldn't it be a sweater vest? I think it would. I don't know. If you think I'm right, let me know in the comments. I'm not sure. So that B91, now that's where we're going to go over that first right-hand side where we left that space. And then I'm just using this B91 to get everything nice and blended. So everything in that color just looks really nice and natural. And we're just deepening it up with a little bit of more B99, where I think it needs a little bit more depth to the color. And again, this all just comes back to just taking a look at your work and seeing, oh, what do I need? Do I need a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that? What color? Where do I need to blend more? Where do I need more depth? Where do I need more lightness? Because you have to remember with your Copics that you're allowed to go over your work more than once. And you don't have to worry about like oversaturating your paper most of the time. If you're using the hammer mill, like we use the hammer mill, color cover copy stock, I think it's 100 pounds. It really takes the Copic inks really, really well. So you can see here as I add it in, like nothing's bleeding. It's still taking the color nicely, and I don't really have to worry about anything like that. The only thing you gotta worry about is if your Copic leaks and you get a splotch. That's bad. But most of the times that can be fixed too with a colorless blender. So I forgot I did need to color his tie. So I think I just used like I believe I used a C, maybe. Oh, not really showing you on that marker. So let's go with C3. So now we're using the Y27 for the R, and that is just for the very right hand side where it's going to be a little bit deeper in tone. Next up is going to be our Y08, and incorrectly at the beginning of this little section, I think I called it YR too far, so I apologize. Don't know what I was thinking. It's Y08 to finish off that little R. And then next up are his pants, and his pants are going to be E37, E35, E33, E31, and E30. And again, I'm starting again always with my darkest, so I'm using that E37 to start, and I'm putting it in the darkest areas of his pants. So that is at the bottom, and at the bottom just above his shoe is where I just went in with E37 alone and just kept that kind of just dark right now. And then I went into the pant area, and I'm putting that color into the right hand sides and across under his shirt line where it might be a little shadowed, and I don't go all the way across. And then of course I just gradually progress with my next marker, or my next Copic I should say, which is that E35. So I'm kind of going over what I did a little bit with the 37, and again extending slightly out, and then bringing over that line, that shadow line under his shirt just a little bit further. And again, just trying to make sure I get a nice blend. Definitely when you're taking, when you're coloring with Copics, I think honestly the best, for me anyway, is to have, when you're not rushed and you know you can just take your time to blend. I think if you ever try and rush Copics, that's maybe where it goes a little, that's where it goes a little off the rails a bit. So again, we're moving into our lighter colors, kind of blending across. I believe I'm using that E31 here already. And then now the E30. And again, I'm bringing that color over from the right into the left, just because I wanted that left-hand side, from the left to the right, because I want that left-hand side more highlighted. So now for his shoes, we're using R29, R27, R24, W00, C3, and C1. So the first color I'm putting in is that R29, and then that is going in the bottom parts of that where I want that red, and then the R27 just to blend up from there. Now some of these colors I just kind of took a guess. Archie wears a variety of different clothing colors and styles, so I just was kind of guessing on the shoes. So then here I'm finishing the shoes with the R24 for a final blend. Now that W00, that's going at the very bottom of his shoe, just like where that tread, or the sole is of the shoe. And then I'm using the C3 and the C1 on that top, like toe cap area. I don't know what it's called. Maybe if you're someone who's into shoes, you'd know what that part of the shoe is called, but I don't know. I think it does have a name. I just don't know what it is. So here, the C1, just to do that final little blending there. And then of course, once he's all done, we're going to add those highlights. I prefer a white Posca marker. You can use a white gel pen. And I'm just adding those highlights to the eye because I always think a little bit more is good. So I am adding 2 big ones and 2 little white dots to his eyes today, just to give him a little bit more bright and cheery look, which I always like. And then I'm going over where his teeth are because I didn't add any color there, so that he's just getting some pearly whites. So thank you very much for following me in this video, and I hope to see you next time. And like, share, comment, and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.